When we first heard about chess boxing, we thought it was a joke. Chess boxing? Could it really be a thing? Turns out it is, and it's just what it sounds like. Alternate rounds of chess and boxing. You can win by knockout or checkmate, whichever comes first. Don't laugh. This odd couple made it to the Paris Olympics as an exhibition match. Russia is the reigning champ, but this year an upstart American team swung for the medals. Still think we're kidding? Come with us to the World Chess Boxing Championships in Serbia. It's a quiet September Sunday in Loznica, a sleepy Balkan town in western Serbia. But inside the local sports arena, the bells are ringing for a different reason. The German comes out fast, jabbing and punching. He batters his Russian rival until a roundhouse sends him down. Fighters from 18 countries are here trying to knock each other's heads off. There's the bell. But wait, now the fighters strip off their gloves and sit down. It's chess time. Competitors have 3 minutes to vanquish their enemy on the board. If they don't, it's back to the slugfest for 3 more minutes. It's gloves on, gloves off, until checkmate, knockout, or judge's decision. This is chess boxing, where knuckle meets nerd. When you first heard about it, did you know that it was a real sport?
No, I thought it was like a Saturday Night Live skit. It was so absurd to me that someone would combine these two things.
I have to admit, when I first heard about it, I laughed. It sounds crazy.
It's the best thing about the sport. Chess is battle on a board, and boxing is chess with my body. So when someone combined those two, I was like, yes, here's my yin and yang. Here's what I was made for.
Ladies and gentlemen, chess boxing fans around the world, thank you.
Matt Thomas is a chess boxing evangelist.
When we get to the later rounds.
And coach of Team USA. He's built a squad of 15 American contenders from all walks of life. There's the lawyer, a Cornell math major, a military veteran. In 2018, Thomas became the first American to compete for a world chess boxing title. And you won.
And I won, which the person who was the most surprised about that was me.
So did you win by hook or by rook?
Good question. It was actually by rook, yeah.
Thomas dropped out of law school and went all in.
Double jab, triple jab.
He's a promoter, commentator, and fundraiser for a sport hardly anyone has heard of. No wonder chess boxing started out life in a French graphic novel. It was pure fiction until 2003, when it turned into fact at a real-life match in Berlin. It was an instant hit, especially in Russia. Now, America is catching up, one fighter at a time.
I had the body of a chess player. I was just like a scrawny kid, you know.
Meet William Gambit Man Grafe, a New York State chess champ. He's been playing competitive chess since the age of 5.
Yep, good.
We saw his take-no-prisoners approach.
How'd I get in this horrible position?
When he demolished 4 of us at once, just for fun.
Checkmate.
Checkmate.
Grafe told us he added 30 pounds of muscle to become a chess boxer. He's still only 160 pounds. Are you scared in any way?
I'd be a little crazy not to be terrified.
But why are you willingly deciding to step into a ring where you can get your head beaten in?
Yeah, you sound like my mother. One of the things is sort of the opportunity to tell my story here of like a kid who played chess growing up throughout school and was to an extent ridiculed and ostracized.
For being a scrawny chess player.
Exactly. Okay, you know, I've been doing chess for a very long time. What better time to sort of try something new and challenge myself?
Like his teammates, Grafe paid his own way to get here. There's no prize money in chess boxing, just the warmth of your country's flag. Matt Thomas told us that was enough to unite his ragtag team against the 800-pound gorilla, Russia.
We're by far the underdogs. We're coming in with the red, white, and blue trying to upset people. You know, no one thinks we're going to do well. No one thinks we're going to win.
The Russians are the best.
By a long shot. Yeah, so
Why? What makes them so good?
they have it in over 500 schools and universities where kids are growing up with chess boxing. It is their sport, their focus.
Making his chess boxing world championship debut, Wayne Clark.
Wayne God King Clark was about to run into that Russian machine. A former Harlem Globetrotter, Clark traded hoops for the ring 11 years ago. He's got the stare down perfected. His chess, a work in progress. We first met God King in Times Square, where he'd taken out a billboard to drum up interest in the sport. Clark told us he had one uncle who was a boxer and another who was a chess master.
And the next thing you know, the chessboard would roll out and they would be playing chess till 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was just always around it. And so when I heard of chess boxing, I knew I was destined for it, yeah.
So chess and boxing are part of your family's DNA.
Absolutely.
And have you seen this becoming more popular, more well-known?
Yes. You know, we've actually are doing a chess boxing tour in schools right now. So we started this last year, and then the hope is that we can grow that all throughout the United States and introduce it to students, brains and brawn, and how they both work together.
In Serbia, we watched on the big screen as Clark made his opening moves. The chess boxing crowd cheers as loudly for a captured queen as an uppercut, and they're not shy with advice.
Focus, focus, focus.
Clark knew he had to win at boxing, but in the ring, his mojo deserted him. There was more wrestling than boxing. The Russian coach spurred his fighter on. Without a knockout, it was back to the board, headsets on to block out coaching from the crowd. Clark tried valiantly to fend off the Russian attack. Too late. Checkmate.
How are you feeling right now?
I didn't do my game plan. I didn't stick to my game plan at all. I wasn't the Wayne Clark I know I am in boxing at all.
Is this harder than you thought it would be?
The chess, yeah. The boxing was just stupid errors. I take full accountability for that.
Through 75 fights,
Representing Russia.
Russia won victory after victory.
Russia.
But there were other contenders too. We saw knockdowns and knockouts. There was a little blood, a lot of sweat, but no tears. We saw fighters who flexed and grizzled veterans who tried. We saw nervous newbies and women fighters who pulled no punches.
Immediately a knockdown to start the fight by France.
Then it was showtime for chess master William Grafe. Coach Matt Thomas told us chess players may look meek, but they are cutthroats.
Those guys are Mike Tyson, but in the head. They want to tear you apart and make you doubt yourself and want to quit in the same way that a boxer would pick someone apart. They're picking you apart with their brain.
In his first match, Grafe shredded his French opponent.
Checkmate on the board, William Grafe.
Now he was facing a German champion. Grafe attacked lightning-fast chess moves, setting him up for the win. When they got to the ring, Grafe channeled his inner Rocky and let loose with a flurry of punches. But it wasn't enough.
Representing Germany.
He lost on points.
I'm really proud that I did this, and I'm really proud of the way I went out. Do it all over again.
As Iron Mike Tyson once said, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face.
Most people on the surface, when they hear about chess boxing, they think that the battleground is the chessboard or the boxing ring. And it is. You have to be good at both. But the real battlefield is the minute in between rounds.
Thomas told us the best chess boxers learn how to control their breathing, to switch from a high-octane fight to cold calculation.
So the more that you can downregulate, lower your heart rate, dump the adrenaline out of your system, and let your amygdala chill out for a round, the more of your potential chess strength you're going to be using in the chess round.
So this transition, this is key.
Key. It's still, to this day, a competitive advantage that I think Team USA has over the rest of the world. Not as many people are putting as much time, effort, and preparation into the minute in between rounds.
Halfway through the tournament, the scrappy underdogs of Team USA had 2 gold medals. But the Russian march to first place continued.
We are this great rival for everybody.
Peter Zhukov is a Russian businessman and the founder of the Russian Chess Boxing Federation. He told us chess and boxing are hardwired into Russia's history.
In Soviet old-school Russian boxing gyms, they would play chess after boxing training. They would just do it to develop certain qualities in their fighters. They play chess and checkers.
To work a different part of your mind?
Yeah.
Zhukov was ringside for the last and most coveted title of the championships, the super heavyweight final. No surprise to see a Russian fighter here. His challenger?
Hailing from the United States of America, James Canty III!
Michigan's James Canty was the last American standing. A professional chess player, Canty has been boxing for only 2 years. He was up against a brawler with years in the ring. Canty knew the Russian would be looking for his head. The Russian charged, lashing out with a punishing right hook. Canty danced and dodged, taking blow after blow.
Counter him in the hands up!
But he hung on.
Jab!
And on.
Canty on the ropes!
And then, in the third round of chess, checkmate. James Canty III had beaten the odds.
We got it done.
To become the new super heavyweight chess boxing champion of the world. He needed a chair.
It's like when you went back in for that second round.
Yeah.
It's like the longest 3 minutes you ever went
Of my
through.
life, bro. Longest 3 minutes of my life, I ain't gonna lie.
But you took a licking and kept on ticking.
I did.
You did?
I did. And I'm a world champ.
And you're a world champ.
Coach Matt Thomas was giddy with excitement.
God, I couldn't be prouder.
Thanks,
I
bro.
mean, to have a USA-Russia final, to close out the 7th Chess Boxing World Championship, and to beat Russia for a gold. Let's go, baby.
Russia blitzed the medals for first place. But Team USA took 9, enough for second, surprising everyone.
James Canty!
Already hyped for next year's slugout, they were going home on a high.
I love a happy ending, don't you?
Time flies and waits for no one, and once lost is never found. Yet still we try to keep time and measure it. Let the French, Germans, and British fight over who invented the wearable clock, or watch, in the 1500s. This we know. It's the Swiss who refined the art, crafting the world's most intricate and expensive timepieces. This, though, is a curious interval for Swiss watches, those mechanical wonders running not on batteries but on springs and gears. For one, you hardly need wrist candy to tell time. You can just consult your phone. And now Swiss watches are subject to the ups and downs of President Trump's tariffs. Yet these luxury items keep ticking, as we saw for ourselves in a place called Watch Valley. Venture an hour north of Geneva and wedged between ridges of the Jura Mountains, baby cousins of the Alps, you'll enter the Valley du Joux. Don't be lulled by the green meadows and grazing cows. This is a global manufacturing hub. Has been since the 17th century, when local farmers needed a side hustle during harsh winters and started tinkering with big hands and little hands. Big-name watch brands came of age here, as did solo master craftsmen like Philippe Dufour.
When I arrive in the morning here, I light my pipe, take a coffee, put classic music. It's heaven.
In Dufour's one-room workshop, the old watchmaking methods endure. So do the tools and the tempo.
Do you remember how long that took you to make your first watch?
Oh yes, more than 2 years. Yeah.
One watch?
Yeah, yeah.
How long does it take you to make a watch now?
Well, it's about 2,000 hours, 1 year.
Dufour went to the local watchmaking school and worked for major brands before striking out on his own. Now 77, he's revered in the industry, meticulously crafting watches from start to finish. That third eye, a magnifying loupe it's called, doesn't leave his head. Dufour prices his watches in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, custom ordered and so in demand when we asked to see a sample of his handiwork, he had none. Well, except the one he was wearing.
This is the model Simplicity. I launched it in year 2000, and this is the real first one, and I wear it every day since 2000.
Counter to its name, the Simplicity contains 153 individual components. Dufour hand finishes every part. Those broad stripes are his signature embellishment. Today, Swiss mechanical watches are like fine art pieces, appreciating assets that collectors can and do resell at auction.
The one and only Philippe Dufour, and there won't be any others. 1.9 million.
What do your watches sell for?
I mean, in terms of auction, one of the highest was 7 million.
How do you process that?
Well, I'm very happy. I don't get the money because it's not mine anymore. You know what I mean? But I mean, it's a recognition.
Just down the road, Antoine Lecoutre turned his family barn into a watchmaking studio. That was in 1833. Now it houses the global brand Jaeger Lecoutre. The work is segmented, each employee tasked with one of 180 watchmaking crafts. Adjusting springs, sure, but also turning caterpillar secretions into glue for jewel bearings. This artisan reproduces masterpiece paintings on the back of the watch with a one-thread brush. The back of the watch is prime real estate at Jaeger Lecoutre, best known for a model called the Reverso, originally made for polo players who needed the watch to be protected during competition. Flip the face and voila. On our tour of the shop floor with brand director Mathieu Sauret, we watched a worker assemble his first Reverso. Hundreds of hours go into perfecting this chime alone.
Much nicer on the ears than Siri.
It's called a minute repeater. Leave it to the Swiss to pioneer what are known as complications, watch speak for those additional mechanical flourishes beyond the basic display of time. Consider the perpetual calendar.
It tells you the day of the week, the date, the month, precise until 2100.
This is accounted for leap year. You don't have to check this for the rest of the century.
No, you just have to wind it. The watch is a little computer. It knows everything.
We joke about a computer, but this is entirely mechanical.
Yes, there is no electronic at all in this timepiece. Everything is gears, gear trains, wheels, and springs.
Watchmakers don't get nervous having an item in their hand worth $1.5 million that might take more than a year to put together.
We are nervous.
You look cool though. You pull it off.
I look cool, but I'm not.
On the other side of the Jura Mountains, the goods come to market. Geneva, a cross between a city and a Swiss watch showroom. Rolex is the biggest player, more than 1 million units a year, roughly a third of the Swiss market share. Pharmaceuticals and banking are bigger sectors of the Swiss economy, but it's watchmaking that draws out the national character. Marc-André Deschaux is the founder of Watches TV.
In Switzerland, we like to do things well.
We hear about that famous Swiss precision.
It's all about very minute details.
This is not a product that degrades over time.
Not really. A watch movement is something that is absolutely incredible if you think about it. It runs 24 hours a day. Okay. And some people are saying like minus plus of 5 seconds per day. Oh, that's a big thing. But if you think about it, in the day, you have 86,400 seconds. Okay, so if you have a little bit distortion of 5 seconds, that's less than 0.01%. I mean, it's nothing.
If the Swiss can get a little precious about their precision, it's a function of history. In the 70s and 80s, Swiss watchmaking was decimated by the so-called quartz crisis, when Japan in particular began peddling more accurate watches for a fraction of the price, run on a quartz crystal and a battery. The Swiss response?
Swatch. Swatch. Always different, always new.
They launched the quartz-powered Swatch watch, plastic and chic, but then doubled down on the high-end mechanical market, adopting alpine high pricing and limited supply as business model.
It's only 1.75 millimeter thick.
At Richard Mille, we tried on this $2 million mechanical watch. A mind-bending price tag, but it does explain how Swiss watches account for fewer than 2% of the units sold globally, but more than 50% of the market's overall value. Of course, it's a small cohort that can afford this kind of status symbol, the equivalent of a Ferrari for the wrist. And it's gauche to walk into a shop and just buy a watch. It's a process, a dance done in gloves. At Patek Philippe, we were shown a new model with a split-seconds chronograph.
Let me put it on your wrist. This is going to be nice.
List price, north of $300,000.
If somebody said, I love this watch, I saw this in your window, can they walk in off the street and say, please take my credit card?
It's a difficult one, but sometimes a bit of patience is necessary.
Said patience can be measured in years. Some wait lists can run a decade.
Help us make sense of the wait lists and the supply and demand.
It's a way of driving this desirability for a product, so that you can't just, it's not a question of money. You really need to, go along this kind of journey to get your watch.
The journey has been bumpy of late. Earlier this year, the U.S. issued tariffs on Swiss exports at a punishing 39%, driving prices even higher. But tariffs are flexible in a way time is not. After captains of Swiss industry, including watch company executives, visited the Oval Office last month, the Trump administration dropped the Swiss tariff rate to 15%. And yes, that gold-plated desk clock was a gift from the CEO of Rolex. Plugging away through all this back and forth, Max Busser, founder of niche brand MB&F. An engineer by training, he started the company in 2005 and struggled at first.
And then 2020, COVID happened. We had hundreds, thousands of people contacting us saying, how can I get one of your watches?
Could you accommodate this demand?
No, because we don't want to grow.
That's right. Busser has no interest in ramping up from his current output of roughly 400 watches a year.
See the level of detailing. You're looking as if you're looking at a little city. And of course, all of this is not only beautiful, it has to function.
The loop lays bare just how painstaking this work can be.
I mean, these are poppy seeds. That's a screw that's smaller than...
This is a screw?
That's a grain of sand right there.
This is the level...
This is the craftsmanship
competence of these people. I believe watchmaking is art. Everybody says the art of watchmaking. So if watchmaking is art, why are 99% of watches look the same?
Busser does not stand accused of conformity. He used a bulldog as inspiration for this model and told us telling time is not the point.
We all know that what we do is totally pointless.
What do you mean?
A mechanical watch is totally pointless today. It was pointless in 1972 when the quartz era arrived. And so anybody who tries to tell you, yes, a mechanical watch has a point, except for emotional art and artisanship, I don't think so. 364 components in the movement, 92 components in the case.
Busser's company has grown to the point he recently sold a 25% share to the Chanel brand. But it's small enough, he still interviews clients before selling them a watch, which can easily run $250,000.
How do you as an artist feel about this when some of your customers are now viewing this not as a piece of art, as a functional timepiece, but as an investment?
It really, really annoys me. It's the worst reason to buy a beautiful piece of watchmaking. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm very happy if our customers can not lose money or even make money reselling one of our watches. It's a beautiful gift for both of us, but it shouldn't be the reason.
You will not be surprised to learn where Busser found the template for his life's work.
Philippe is a legend. He went solo when nobody was solo.
Back in the Vallée de Joux, the OG, Philippe Dufour, has taken on a new apprentice, Daniela, who also happens to be his 24-year-old daughter.
I really have a kind of deep relationship with my father, and so I was super curious about all the time he was spending in the workshop. You see the magic operating. He's in the front of his bench, working on something that you cannot even see without a loop, and he just listened a little I made it.
Sigh of relief.
Yes, and then you see the heart of the watch beating for the first time, and you understand that you just created life, and you want to do the same thing.
Before we left the workshop, the Dufours insisted on showing us this party trick. A half-dozen of his pocket watches set to chime in synchronicity, meant to echo the sounds of the valley.
When the farmer is going up on the mountain, with the big bell.
All these years, and it still brings you pleasure and a smile.
Yeah, marvelous.
Marvelous.
Yeah.
It brought us a smile too. But then again, we're suckers for the evocative sound of a classic mechanical timepiece. For the record, it's iron ore, but it's easy to make the case that Australia's leading export is acting talent. How has an island of only 27 million people minted Nicole Kidman, Hugh Jackman, Cate Blanchett, Mel Gibson, Margot Robbie, Chris Hemsworth? We can keep going here. Sarah Snook, Russell Crowe, Heath Ledger, Naomi Watts, to say nothing of so many Oscar-winning directors, designers, and crew. We headed to the bottom of the globe and then other spots on the globe to explore the Aussie takeover. And as we first told you last fall, we met stars, we heard theories, and in a quiet Sydney neighborhood, impossibly far and away from Hollywood, we found a place that pumps out talent. Scene: London's West End, its theatre district. Sarah Snook is fresh off her Emmy-winning breakthrough role as Shiv Roy,
Well, it's not all about you.
the vicious yet vulnerable daughter in the HBO show Succession.
If only I could remain always young.
For her next act, she has upped the degree of difficulty and pivoted from TV to live performance, playing all 26 roles in a staging of Oscar Wilde's The Picture of Dorian Gray, which came to Broadway and earned Snook a Tony nomination.
I would give my soul for that.
It's not unheard of for someone to have a successful run in TV or film and then go do theater. I'm not sure I've seen someone do 26 roles of theater at once. What are you thinking?
It's an incredible play, an incredible opportunity to be able to play so many different roles and so many different characters. And, it's that thing of you come off some of the best writing in the world. What do you do next? Something has to be, out there to challenge you. And this certainly is, the challenge.
If it's an unusual bit of career management, it's also on brand as the kind of daring move you would expect from a modern Australian star.
What is going through your head during this performance with all of these marks and rolls and lines and angles?
Nothing, which is quite nice.
Really?
Yeah, the focus required is a kind of a state of meditative flow in a way. Because if I'm sitting there going, oh, am I on my mark? Am I doing this? Then the next line has happened. So if I think about anything else, then I'm stitched up.
Stitched up? That's Aussie for in a jam. Didn't know Sarah Snook was Australian?
You're pathetic. You're a masochist and you can't even take it.
If you couldn't have guessed by the accent, we'll get to that soon, you might have guessed it by simply playing the percentages.
And Margot, straight down the center.
Name an A-list star of the stage or screen today, odds are bloomin' good they come from the land down under.
There are a lot of you, aren't there?
Yeah, it's a few of us out there.
Here's this country.
Yeah.
Fewer people in Texas. And
Is it? Really? Stop it. Really? Pretty good ratio.
I was going to say, you guys are doing pretty well for yourself,
not
aren't
so bad. Not so bad. Huh.
Yes, they are everywhere, these Aussies, filling up IMDb pages and call sheets.
Oh, are you?
Yes! This is what I was supposed to do. Bring you
They've brought us her and him.
Don't touch my things.
Him too.
Are you not entertained?
Heroes
upon this moment
and villains.
Why so serious?
Earning top billings.
A real actress.
I'm a thistle sifter. I have a sieve of sifted thistles and a sieve of unsifted thistles.
Earning top awards.
Thank you so much.
I have such appreciation.
Thanks very much. I'm an Australian who played an Australian in a...
Aussies. They've become to Hollywood what Kenyans are to marathoning. Wildly overrepresented. and not just in front of the camera.
I need a moment.
And action. Fade in.
Take filmmaker Baz Luhrmann, a singular creative force, almost a genre unto himself. He spoke to us from a far-flung location where he was scouting his next film.
It's got to a point where there are so many Australian performers and actors behind the screen, I mean, screenplay writing and directing, but particularly with actors, that even I have to be told, oh, you know, X is Australian. I mean, oh, I didn't know that, because they are really everywhere. Now, NIDA was a really big part of that, because I think it kind of set the culture and set the attitude.
NIDA, the National Institute of Dramatic Art. Think of it as the Juilliard of Australia.
Up through the sky.
Its rise to prominence marks a major plot point in the Aussie cinematic invasion. The acceptance rate is barely 2%. Naomi Watts and Hugh Jackman were among those declined. Baz Luhrmann was class of 1985. Sarah Snook, class of 2008, one of only 24 admitted students that year. At NIDA, Snook received training in the classics, experimental theater, and also picked up some hacks.
I was told I had to ask you about how you cried during Chekhov during the Three Sisters performance.
Who told you that?
We've got our sources. We do our research here.
Yeah, there was a few of us who were nervous about having to, instantaneously produce tears. And so we were very cheeky and would put Tiger Balm on a little handkerchief. And when we were behind a particular screen, we'd just quickly put the Tiger Balm in our eyes. And so then we'd have very red eyes and look very upset to cry for Russia. You can't be CEO. You can't, because you killed someone.
At less risk to her health, there she also learned to mask that charming Aussie accent.
How often do you get, she's Australian?
I do, yeah, frequently.
Was that something they taught you in NIDA at all?
Yeah, accent work at NIDA, British accents, American accents.
Thinking that's one more thing you've got to think about. not just your lines and not just
No, I know. Well, that was the thing on the show. We always had to, there was often times where we had to improvise. And so I had to try and think in an American accent as well, which is tricky.
Luhrmann, too, still leans on his NIDA training.
The National Institute of Dramatic Art, the drama school I went to, I mean, I do remember one thing, and I think it's sort of an Australian attitude, which is don't wait for permission to be told that you can act. We were taught to devise things. We were taught not to sit around and, okay, there's the play, that's your part, you may be in it. We were taught to make up story, get with friends, make a show, create something. I had an idea that I would take the Greek myth and with a bunch of friends devise it and set it in the world of ballroom dancing while I was at the National Institute of Dramatic Art. That little play went for about 30 minutes. It was called Strictly Ballroom.
Within a few years, Luhrmann had turned that little play into a worldwide film, a cult hit with all Aussie cast and crew. That was 1992. Then Australia was still a theatrical outback of sorts. True, Errol Flynn was born in Tasmania, but Australia's contribution to the silver screen extended not much beyond, well, this.
That's a knife.
Then the NIDA talent started filtering out. Mel Gibson,
Hey, you want to see crazy Australia?
Kate Blanchett,
Excuse me, is Queenie here?
Because nobody admits anything they've done!
Toni Collette,
Catherine!
Baz Luhrmann's wife, the four-time Oscar-winning costume and production designer Catherine Martin, is another NIDA grad.
Help us understand where NIDA fits into the broader entertainment industry.
That can-do, will tell, don't wait for permission attitude that NIDA instilled in the very first graduates, that spilled out into the kind of larger sense of what it was to be, a performer in Australia. Just throwing yourself off the cliff and flying.
We didn't want it to be...
In Sydney, we found the Godfather, the guru. Now 92, John Clark was NIDA's all-powerful director for 35 years, starting in 1969. He set a goal from the start. developing and unlocking a distinct Aussie mode of acting, marrying the theatre of London with Hollywood gloss.
We thought the method acting was having such an influence, and everybody was emoting, and the style of acting was terribly emotional and lacking in skill and imagination. So we thought, no, we've got to find a way of doing it that takes the best of America and the best of Britain, but allows our own national characteristics to develop.
What makes Australian acting unique?
Skill, confidence, courage, an enjoyment of the body. I mean, Knight has never encouraged self-indulgence or show-off acting. The actors who have done well in Hollywood, they are not acting with a capital A. They are playing characters with such conviction and with such truth, without what Australians would call decoration or bullshit.
Beautiful.
It's straight down the middle, and they do their homework. They're highly intelligent.
Mr. Anderson, welcome back.
And they know who the person is they're playing.
You like what I've done with the place?
In addition to running NIDA, John Clark co-founded the Sydney Theatre Company, a harbourside bandbox where NIDA students can launch careers and established stars can come back home to get back to basics.
You drew me, didn't you?
Yet another supporting role in this story, Aussie soap operas. Seriously, don't judge. The soaps enable actors to sharpen their skills day in, day out before their call-ups.
Did the cops talk to you?
Australia has all these institutions, NIDA, Sydney Theatre Company, the soaps. What contributions did they make to this overrepresentation of Aussies that we see?
A good training ground. Australia's got great training grounds for international work. There's a way you can test yourself in Australia, and you can fail safely in a way, and I think failure is really important to see your limits and to help grow.
Hardly a child star, Snook grew up as a typical Aussie free-range kid.
You're telling me about your upbringing. You're riding a bike in the national park in southern Australia with kangaroos.
I feel like that's a real grounding force in my life. Having that, independent play in sort of risky areas, that breeds a lot of self-reliance in a kid.
These experiences you had on the other side of the world actually really help you.
They build your character so that you can play other characters.
For all of the pathways and infrastructure, there's something else about Aussies, and there's probably a lesson here for all of us. Simply put, they're the anti-divas, doing drama, not bringing drama to work.
The things that I really respect about the Australian actors that I love overseas, there is a bit of a understanding that it's all oftentimes smoke and mirrors, and it's a fun and it's a game, and it's it is profound in some ways, but it's also silly. Like Chris Hemsworth has got a great tongue-in-cheek sort of attitude about it all, and also Baz Luhrmann with all his films tend to have a bit of a little cheek or a wink to the audience.
The phrase in heavy rotation we kept hearing, those Aussies, they take the work seriously, they don't take themselves particularly seriously.
Yeah, that's it. That's what it is. Much better way of saying what I just said.
I feel deeply.
Finally, about that distance, Baz Luhrmann believes that the remoteness of Australia, a place where actors can stretch their talents and horizons beyond the gaze of Hollywood tastemakers, is, in fact, a blessing.
The one thing everyone agrees about with Australia is that it's far, far away. And I think that we still think that the idea of being either in a movie or in a play on Broadway or in a television show in Hollywood is still a romantic notion. It's still a privilege. It isn't a job. It's a dream.
The old license plates read Big Sky Country, but inside Montana there's an unofficial state motto, the last best place. Hemmed by the plains in the Pacific Northwest, Montana is a patchwork of golden prairies and green mountains, with rivers that run through it. And the last best place suggests a warding off of the onslaught of outside forces. So this year, when Washington, D.C. politicians suggested selling off public lands for development as part of the so-called Big Beautiful Budget Bill, Montanans of all political stripes stood in opposition. Is this a rare example of modern bipartisanship, proof that there are some issues that can knit Americans together? Or are these frontier folk just delaying the inevitable? Montana's landscape beguiles as it unfolds. The kind of sheer beauty that could stop traffic, if there were traffic to stop. The scale is hard to exaggerate. It's a state roughly the size of California, with roughly the population of Greater Fresno, just north of 1 million. Montanans speak fondly of their neighbors, who might live 50 miles away. As for the land itself, it's not mere real estate, it's there for recreation. A corridor for wildlife. It's symbolic, too. The open frontier is an emblem of freedom and possibility. It's something deeper, sacred even.
Like spiritual, right? So like some people find that in church or in other ways, and for me it's just being out where your feet are on the ground and actually connecting with this space. And then if you spend enough time in those spaces and on that landscape, it's like land is kin, right? It starts to feel like
land is kin.
Yeah.
Brian Mannix is a rancher who, along with his Uncle Dave and cousin Logan, raise cattle in western Montana. They've been on this plot since 1882, when their forebears first homesteaded here. With lineage comes perspective.
As ranchers, you guys have talked about feeling like you're stewards of the land more than you're owners of the land. What's the difference?
It's not ours, it's just our turn.
If you're going to steward that land, you're going to treat that land in a way that maybe doesn't maximize your life, but is better for multiple generations of human beings, because this place is going to outlast all of us by a long ways.
The Mannix's operation relies on a mix of land, around 55,000 acres all told, more than 3 Manhattans. It's land they own, private land they lease from others, plus federal plots they pay a relatively small fee to use. So earlier this year, when members of Congress proposed the wholesale sell-off of tracts of public land, the first serious effort of its kind in more than 4 decades, the Mannixes, well, bridled.
Yeah, to me it's worrisome because I think that you can have a very nuanced conversation about management, but whether or not should we have these lands as public lands, to me is a no-brainer.
The federal government owns and manages about 640 million acres of American land, most of it in the West and Alaska. Yes, those breathtaking national parks, but also huge tracts for conservation, recreation, and moneymakers like ranching, mining, and logging.
Interior managed resources hold a significant position on Americans' balance sheet.
The Trump administration, including Interior Secretary Doug Burgum, have made clear federal lands could be generating much more value if there were better management, fewer regulations, and more vigorous extraction.
One of my top priorities has been to make a small percentage of underused federal land available to address housing affordability.
But Utah Senator Mike Lee went further this year, putting forward his measure as part of the big, beautiful budget bill that proposed selling public land, as much as 3 million acres across the West.
Federal land is a massive, underutilized asset.
Lee's proposal did not list specific parcels, but he and some Republican colleagues reasoned selling land would address America's housing shortage and also help pay down the nation's debt.
If the public land that you use were sold off, could you run your business?
The answer is yes, but it would be something less than what it is now.
If we lost our public leases, we would lose a significant amount of income. So absolutely it would impact us.
In Montana, selling public land was perceived as an attack on a way of life already under stress. In recent years, the moneyed class has descended. Westward ho. Exclusive enclaves like the Yellowstone Club, studded with 8-figure residences, are proliferating. In the last 5 years alone, home prices in the state have vaulted nearly 70%. So much private land is being sold and developed. Construction, sprawl, for sale signs, they're everywhere. In Big Sky, in Bozeman, Bose Angeles, they call it, in the remote Ruby Valley.
When we all come together.
Which is where we met Donna McDonald, a hunting and fishing guide, John Helly, a sheep rancher, Chris Edgington, a fly fisherman and river health advocate, Emily Cleveland, a conservationist. They come from across the state and across the political spectrum. They find common cause in a devotion to public lands.
Could you run your business if the public lands were sold off?
No, there would not be a business to run.
From the ranching community to the guiding community to the wildlife that the hunters and the anglers use, spend a lot of time on public lands.
In some states, the vast majority of the territory is federally owned. Montana is about 30%. How did we get here? As the nation expanded in the 1800s and as Native Americans were forcefully removed, some land was settled by homesteaders or sold to industrialists, but much fell to the federal government.
Further out that way. Good work, good work.
McDonald, who grew up in this valley, makes a living taking guests out on the private and public lands that surround her property. She invited us to do some fishing.
How long have you been doing this?
I can't remember not doing it, John.
You're out on the river, it's a nice day, you're in nature.
Right. And it's worth saving.
Preservation is often, literally and figuratively, a grassroots endeavor.
Really good to see everybody.
Donna, John, Chris, and Emily sit on the Ruby Valley Strategic Alliance, one of many local land management groups across the state and the West. At a time of hyper-polarization, these folks, the Birkenstock crowd and the cowboy boot crowd, do something radical. They respect their differences and get along.
Well, it's kind of like when neighbors get together to build a fence. We can stand there and argue about where to put the post, or we can roll up our sleeves and build the fence together.
A little glimpse into Montana?
Yep.
Well, I think we finally came to realize that we all had kind of the same goals in mind and, save some of the last best places here.
And now we have more tree growth.
In response to the land sale proposal, hunters and hikers locked arms. Not 1 acre became a rallying cry. The Ruby Valley group spoke out publicly and lobbied Montana's 2 senators and 2 congressmen, all Republicans.
That was an easy one to all come to agreement on.
Not a lot of dissent.
No, we all realize the importance of the public land, and once it's gone forever.
I suspect there's some people saying, wait a second, you've got all this land. What's wrong with converting that into housing and using it in other ways?
Yeah, I think a lot of our public lands aren't really close to infrastructure that would be necessary for wide-scale housing developments, and selling public lands to generate income and revenue is just not something that makes sense.
I think it's a slippery slope.
It is.
What do you mean?
I mean, if we sell this chunk or that chunk, I mean, where would it end?
Which is precisely the case they made to their representatives, like Ryan Zinke.
We kept hearing you have zero political future in this state unless you oppose the sale of public lands.
I think Montanans are very passionate about the public lands because we live out here.
You heard pretty clear on this one.
I think it's absolutely crystal clear.
Zinke grew up in Whitefish, Montana, and served as a Secretary of the Interior during President Trump's first term.
500,000.
Now he represents Western Montana in the House. He called the land sale proposal his San Juan Hill, a nod to Teddy Roosevelt, noted conservationist. Rough translation, over my dead body.
Public lands is not, to me, on a balance sheet. Public lands is our inheritance of this great nation, and we're blessed with it. There is no other country on the face of the planet that has the public land experience that we do.
On this issue, Zinke's no ideologue. On a case-by-case basis, within the existing laws, he says he's open to rethinking public land use. What he does oppose, wholesale sell-off.
You could sell the entirety of the federal estate. It's not going to get you out of debt. If you have a hotel and the hotel is being mismanaged, you don't sell the hotel. You get new management. And then if you sell the public land, you sell it all, right? Have you changed why you're in debt? No, you've just sold your assets.
People supporting this say, what's the harm of unlocking some of this so we can build affordable housing? Why are those people wrong?
Well, if we want to discuss, reality, selling all our public land for housing, one, won't solve the housing crisis. And secondly, public land itself, if it's managed well, you should be able to bring timber off of it. You should be able to graze. Energy, oil, coal, gas, a lot of that comes from our public lands.
Zinke was instrumental in getting the land sale proposal killed in the House. He then coordinated with his colleagues in the Senate, where Mike Lee had crafted a special carve-out exempting Montana. But that didn't win over the state's delegation. The measure was abandoned. In a statement to 60 Minutes, Senator Lee said in part, quote, "The federal government controls more land than it can manage, hurting the growth and prosperity of American families and their communities." Perhaps more than any other state, Montana stood in the breach, thwarting the sale efforts. Though there is widespread expectation public land sales will come up again in Congress. This is an era where party unity in the Republican Party is strong. You went against the grain here. You stuck your neck out.
It's a red, white, and blue issue. It's not a Democrat or a Republican issue. This is an American issue. And once you sell land, you're not going to get it back. The challenge is this.
On this point in particular, Zinke has seen his state transformed.
Behind us is the Yellowstone River, and below us, the Yellowstone dumps into the Missouri.
What's changed?
When I grew up, there was less people. You see all these houses in there. There wasn't maybe one or two houses in this whole valley along the river.
Zinke knows changes to land bring changes to culture. Locals complain they no longer know their neighbors. No trespassing signs suddenly abound. Montanans, like the Mannixes, are tracking the public lands issue closely. If an unsentimental government gets in on the sale, there really goes the neighborhood.
Often, what we see is the most valuable thing to do with this land, probably forever now, will be to chop it up and sell it in small chunks for people to have a little piece of paradise. And I think that's going to be true whether it's a ranch that sells or public land that sells.
To borrow a phrase, this land is your land, this land is my land. People here just hope it stays that way.